A local police department receives an urgent call. The homeowners are away, but neighbors hear a low, rhythmic groaning from the pitch-black basement. Officers arrive, draw their weapons, and begin sweeping the space. The tactical team prepares to breach, expecting to find a burglar or a wounded squatter. But as they trace the noise to a corner of the floor, they find no one. The threat was a glitching 1998 Furby. Left alone in the dark, it had randomly woken up and trapped itself in an endless mechanical loop. That real-world police raid wasn't an isolated fluke. For an entire generation of kids and parents, this fluffy children's toy inadvertently became a source of genuine domestic terror. Hasbro released the Furby in 1998, and consumers bought 40 million of them within the first 3 years alone. The massive demand made sense. The Furby was marketed as an interactive animatronic pet that could move its ears, blink its glassy eyes, and actually speak to you. But the novelty quickly soured. Kids started burying their toys under piles of laundry, and parents exiled them to cold garages to escape their unpredictable, seemingly autonomous behavior. The paranoia reached the highest levels of government. The National Security Agency issued an official memo banning Furbies from their premises over fears they were actively spying on classified conversations. This widespread panic stemmed from specific engineering choices that effectively exploited human psychology. Let's look at that espionage rumor. A massive segment of the public believed Furbies contained hidden microphones that recorded and analyzed our conversations. This data visualization shows what was actually happening inside the toy's code. Hasbro hard-coded a dictionary of English words into the software. As you physically interact with the toy, petting it or feeding it, an internal counter incremented, triggering the software to gradually substitute English phrases for the initial gibberish. By tying the vocabulary progression to physical playtime, the software perfectly mimicked the natural human process of acquiring a second language. When a child spoke a word like hungry, and the toy happened to activate that specific word a moment later, it triggered intense confirmation bias. Users assumed the toy was listening and repeating. There was no recording device. The illusion of active intelligence was just a cleverly disguised, pre-programmed countdown clock. Then there were the late-night awakenings. Countless owners reported their Furbies springing to life in the dead of night, emitting low, demonic gurgles. The true cause was an inevitable hardware failure. As the 4 AA batteries drained, the voltage flowing to the internal motor and audio chip dropped below their optimal operating levels. Starved for power, the audio processor dragged the toy's high-pitched voice down into a slow, distorted loop, while the mechanical gears randomly twitched. This diagram illustrates another feature, the infrared sensor hidden above the eyes. These sensors allowed Furbies to silently ping each other and sync up their movements across pitch-black rooms. Take a dying audio chip, fluctuating voltage, and invisible communication signals, and you have a mechanical recipe that perfectly mimics a demonic possession. To make matters worse, the 1998 Furby lacked a basic piece of user interface. It had no actual off switch. When a toy started glitching in the dark, panicked owners initiated a desperate shutdown. They grabbed a screwdriver, opened the base, and frantically ripped out the batteries. But doing that revealed a terrifying anomaly. Even with batteries completely removed and sitting on the floor, the toy would continue vibrating and babbling. This schematic reveals the engineering secret. Hidden under the fur was an internal backup capacitor, a tiny electronic component designed to retain a small electrical charge to preserve the toy's memory while you swapped out the main batteries. By stripping away the user's ability to turn the device off and masking its true power source, Hasbro elevated a broken piece of plastic into an unstoppable entity in the minds of consumers. Today, that collective trauma from the 1990s has evolved into a highly lucrative vintage collector's market. Normally, a broken, non-functional toy is worthless to a serious collector, but in the Furby community, units that are glitchy, heavily corroded, or rumored to be haunted actually retain massive financial value. This bizarre aftermarket peaked with promotional variants. A rare Kid Cuisine branded Furby recently sold for $8,500. For this specific subculture, the corrosion, the mechanical flaws, and the eerie reputation aren't defects. They are the exact features driving the demand. The Furby suffered from its own immersive design, a system that was highly effective at simulating life, yet physically prone to failure. If engineers build a machine that mimics independent life a little too well, the human imagination will happily fill the remaining gaps with nightmares.